Christians in the eastern Congolese city of Goma marked Easter Sunday with prayers for peace as celebrations unfolded against the backdrop of ongoing conflict. Worshippers gathered in churches, singing and attending Mass, with parish leaders urging faith and unity despite violence in the region. Father Wenceslas Morenzi said the large turnout was a testimony of resilience as fighting continues across North and South Kivu despite a US-brokered ceasefire. Kinshasa accuses Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel movement, allegations Kigali denies. The United States recently imposed sanctions on Rwanda's military, citing violations of the Washington Accords. For many in Goma, Easter was a moment to seek hope and perseverance amid instability. The Democratic Republic of Congo has agreed to temporarily accept third country nationals deported from the United States starting in April. Kinshasa says Washington will cover the cost and provide logistical support for the program, which applies to individuals who cannot be returned directly to their countries of origin. Authorities stressed the arrangement is not a path to permanent settlement, with each case assessed individually under national law. Reception sites have been designated in and around the capital to ensure humanitarian and security monitoring. The DRC joined Uganda, Ghana and South Sudan in similar agreements as officials highlight the country's commitment to hospitality and shared responsibility among nations. Senegal has banned non-essential foreign travel for government ministers as rising global oil prices strain the economy. Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko recently announced the move, saying fuel costs have nearly doubled compared to budgeted levels. Sonko postponed his own trips to Niger, Spain and France, while the mines minister is expected to unveil further spending cuts next week. Despite developing its oil and gas industry, Senegal remains heavily dependent on imports. The restrictions mirror measures across Africa where governments are cutting fuel taxes and rationing electricity to cope with the economic impact of soaring energy costs linked to the conflict involving Iran. Hundreds of demonstrators marched through Berlin on Sunday protesting US military actions in Iran, Lebanon and Gaza. The rally began at the city's main train station and moved past the German Chancellery to the Brandenburg Gate. Footage showed protesters carried Iranian, Lebanese and Palestinian flags with signs reading "No War on Children" and "Hands off Iran." Police monitored the march and detained several individuals after isolated incidents. Speakers condemned the bombing of civilians and urged European governments to take a stronger diplomatic role, pressing both Washington and Israel to de-escalate. The protest comes amid intensifying Middle East tensions following US and Israeli strikes on Iran and Israel's new law allowing the death penalty for Palestinian detainees. Hundreds of protesters marched through Rotterdam on Sunday demanding the reopening of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which Israeli authorities have kept closed for 37 consecutive days, citing security concerns. Footage showed demonstrators waving Palestinian flags and holding signs reading "Al-Aqsa is ours" and "Open Al-Aqsa now." Police monitored the rally, with at least one protester injured during the march. Participants condemned the closure as a violation of religious freedom, urging European governments to take stronger action. International organizations, including the UN Alliance of Civilizations and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, have also criticized the shutdown, calling it illegal and unjustified. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has convened an emergency defense council meeting after explosives were discovered near the Turk Stream pipeline in Serbia, which carries Russian gas into Hungary. Serbian President Alexander Vučić confirmed 2 rucksacks filled with explosives and detonators were found close to the border, warning of devastating power. The incident comes just days before Hungary's elections, with opposition leader Peter Magyar accusing Orbán of panic-mongering. Hungary relies heavily on Russian energy imports, and security experts have raised concerns of a possible staged operation to sway public opinion. The discovery underscores tensions as Orban continues to resist EU pressure to cut ties with Moscow. Residents of Caracas marked Easter Sunday with the traditional burning of Judas ritual, setting alight effigies of Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Marco Rubio, and Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. Crowds in the El Valle neighborhood danced and waved flags as the figures went up in flames, describing the act as a symbolic rejection of imperialism and injustice. Protesters voiced support for Iran and Palestine, condemning US and Israeli military actions and recalling the detention of President Nicolas Maduro earlier this year. The ritual, rooted in religious tradition, replaces Judas and contemporary figures as traitors, blending social criticism with cultural expression. A Ukrainian drone strike has hit the Black Sea port of Novorossiysk, injuring 8 civilians during a large-scale attack on southern Russian cities. Officials say 2 children were hurt in a private home, while 3 others were injured in an apartment block. Governor Veniamin Kondratyev reported damage to 6 apartment buildings, 2 houses, and several industrial sites. The Russian Defense Ministry claims 148 drones were intercepted overnight across multiple regions. Novorossiysk, home to a major commercial port and naval base, has been a key target in recent weeks. The attack follows Friday's sinking of a Russian grain ship in the Sea of Azov and comes as Kremlin officials confirm US-mediated talks with Ukraine are on hold due to the war in the Middle East. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made his first ever state visit to Syria, meeting transitional President Ahmed al-Shara in Damascus on Sunday. Footage shows Zelensky arriving at the presidential palace for talks focused on military cooperation, security and trade amid disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict. The leaders discussed energy, infrastructure and food security, while Zelensky emphasized building new relations and opportunities to strengthen security. Later, they held trilateral talks with Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan on regional stability. This marks Zelensky's first visit since ties were restored in late 2025 following the fall of Bashar al-Assad as tensions escalate across the Middle East after US and Israeli strikes on Iran. Fishermen in Thailand are warning of an imminent shutdown as soaring diesel prices push the industry to breaking point. In Rayong, a major hub along the Gulf of Thailand, more than half of trawlers are already docked, with operators saying they can no longer afford to sail. Diesel prices have surged to nearly 39 baht per litre, up sharply since February, and could soon hit 40 baht, making operations unviable. The crisis threatens the livelihoods of around 50,000 workers and jeopardizes Thailand's $7 billion fishery export sector. With catches no longer covering fuel costs, fishermen say they are losing money daily, warning the industry is on the brink of collapse unless urgent relief is provided.